How are you all doing there, superstars, and welcome on board the Druid ship. This is Earth 1 and it's Earth date the 7th of March 2008, and we're spinning languidly on this beautiful Friday in space, having a look at the Earth and having a contemplation after yesterday's news, looking at James Lovelock's description of the state of human affairs. It was very hard not to be a little bit disheartened and even to lose a little bit of zumphalada in your swingalada. And after meditating on it for a little while, I started to think, well, at the end of the day, we're all well aware that the state of this our physical Earth, be it climate change, is indeed dire. The rate of change and the degree and frequency of extreme climatic variation is by all means dominating much of the Earth. But what it means for the spirit of the human race is another thing altogether. And in spite of appearances, we are indeed on an upward spiral. The years 1999 to 2012 have been put forward by the Mayan Empire as a transitional period of the fourth dimension for the human race as we slowly enter the fifth dimension. We are losing our physical bodies and we are aspiring to greater things, and human consciousness is expanding as our wonderful solar system, our Earth itself, aligns up with the center of the Milky Way. Things are changing and the physical Earth is just the symptom of these transformations. Anyway, on this date, firstly we're going to cut down to Danny and what he was up to early this morning at Earth Sanctuary World Nature Centre. Danny boy, over to you.
Thanks very much, Tommy. Well done. How is that beautiful ship up there? Well, that's the future for us all, living up there in space. Fantastic. The population here on Earth that will be left after the climate change starts affecting the populations will obviously be enjoying life up there in outer space. Well, I'm here at the sanctuary. It's just before 6 o'clock in the morning, and the beautiful Venus and Mercury have been rising. You might not be able to see it on the camera there, and obviously Jupiter up there is having a beautiful moment, vibrating their love and exuberating their expansion methods, helping and assisting all creatures great and small. It's not about us, it's not about us, but the entire planet Earth is transitioning into the fourth and fifth dimension also, and we're just like little seahorses playing around the big barrier reef, and we're going to be changing as well if we so decide. It's very nice of us, isn't it? All good, folks. I'm obviously off back to the ambulance centre this morning, and we'll go and find out which hobbit has been up to no good, and we'll go and sort them out. But it is all good. Obviously huge climate change events are still occurring around the planet, and the aftermath of James Lovelock's interview with the Guardian newspaper yesterday is resonating through my mind, and it's given me some interesting dreams over the night. But one thing it does do, it certainly resolves the fact that we need to address the fact that our infrastructure needs to be suited for a planet that's about to go wild. So Federation, obviously strap yourselves in. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're going to have to get through this one together. Back to you, Tommy. Hope you're having fun up there. Keep smiling. I know you are. I'll see you a bit later on when I can put the suit back on, get back into the Federation frame, the only frame. SFYC, one world, one people. You little beauty.
You little beauty, great stuff there, Danny. That looks beautiful down there by the wonderful red sand of the Central Australian desert, and you're in for a big day there at the Ambulance Centre with Benny Boy. As for now, guys, let's cut down to millicom.com and look at what news, climatic extreme weather and seismic activity has been occurring on the planet to this day. First of which, when we get onto millicom.com, we'll find the New Zealand story as more seismic activity and volcanic rumbles has been occurring, and just like on the west coast there of the United States, they're now preparing for the big one, the big shake, rattle and roll. Further news, we look at Australia in Sydney, where they've had the coldest summer for 50 years, and that's just like North America. They've just had the coldest winter for 50 years. How about that? Who would have thought? Further news goes over to Hawaii, where again seismic activity and volcanic lava flows have been extending further than usual, which is always an indication of an imminent eruption. And by jingo, if the volcanic islands of Hawaii go off, it would be an absolute cracker on the planet Earth. Further news, we go down this time to Ohio, who have been experiencing extreme cold weather and ice and snow, which is disrupting many people and causing electrical blackouts. And again, that's the reality of it all. Also, we go to South Carolina, where their National Weather Service confirmed another tornado, a twister, an EF1 intensity, touched down about 2 miles southeast of Prosperity in Newberry. That's another bit of a beauty of a twister. Further news, we look at thermal activity. The Rubor Volcano Observatory saying on this occasion the Kaka Islands are now getting a bit of thermal spurt, which is another indication of activity. Why is all this volcanic activity occurring, I wonder? I wonder if it's something to do with the North and South Arctic ice shelves melting and putting extra water on our oceans to put pressure on our tectonic plates. But hey, I'm not a scientist. That's just, I don't think you need to be a weatherman to know which way the wind's blowing. Further news, we look at another report by scientists, this time from many different countries, who are now concerned that the amount of swarms, volcanic and seismic earthquake swarms, are a good indicator or precursor for imminent eruptions on large scales. So again, concern has been raised and preparation is amidst to deal with such activity. I hope so. Finally, guys, that's the news. Check it out on millicom.com. Let's go to the Friday funnies, thanks to Gazza Gale, the superstar from Melbourne, Australia, with Super Sanchez. I hope you guys are well, and thanks for the insight on the funnies. Check this out. We're back in a moment.
Okay then, superstars, there may be some serious challenges confronting the human race, but there are also other questions that we need to look at to really come to terms with who we are as a human race. The first of which is, why doesn't Tarzan have a beard? And why do we press harder on a remote control when we know the batteries are flat? And why do banks charge a fee on insufficient funds when they know there is not enough money anyway? Why do kamikaze pilots wear helmets? That's a very good question. Why does someone believe you when you say there are 4 billion stars, but you check when you say the paint is wet? Whose idea was it to put an S in the word lisp? What is the speed of darkness? Why is it that people say they slept like a baby when babies wake up every 2 hours? If the temperature is 0 outside today and it's going to be twice as cold tomorrow, how cold will it be? Do married people live longer than single ones, or does it only seem longer? How is it that we put a man on the moon all before we figured out it would be a good idea to put wheels on luggage? Why do people pay to go up tall buildings and then put money in binoculars to look at things on the ground? That just doesn't make much sense. Who was the first person to look at a cow and say, I'll squeeze these pink dangly things here, and drink whatever comes out of it? Who was the first person to say, see that chicken there? I'm going to eat the next thing that comes out of its bum? Why do toasters always have a setting so high that could burn the toast to a horrible crisp, which no decent human being would eat? Why is there a light in the fridge and not in the freezer? Why do people point to their wrist when asking for the time but don't point to their bum when they ask where the bathroom is? And why do doctors in obstetrics and gynecology leave the room when you get undressed if they're going to look up there anyway? Why does Goofy stand erect while Pluto remains on all fours? They're both dogs. Anyway, soldiers, there's some of the bigger questions to contemplate on this beautiful Friday on the planet Earth. There are indeed challenges, but sometimes the human race has its own way of dealing with things.
Anyway, I'm going to play some tunes. You guys are champions. We'll see you on the next transmission.